Good afternoon, everybody. This is Miss Dana, and I am here with you guys on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. Oh, we got some feedback. Hold on just a second. Saturday afternoon. Oh, we got some feedback. Gotta be careful with those iPhones, guys. AL is working overtime. But anyway, I'm here with you guys because I want to discuss content creators. Uh, as the banner reads, we're going to be talking about content creators, panel guests, and the chat decorum. I promise I won't keep you guys long. But again, I started off by saying I know that we're in the month of December, and this is a holiday month. This is the month that we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. A lot of people have gone through many different situations throughout the year that causes them to become depressed in this particular month. Because, of course, we celebrate Christmas, and with doing that, we often reflect back on our loved ones who are no longer here with us. So, taking that into consideration, I realize that a lot of people may become depressed around this time of the year. But we have to keep in mind that you know, when we're on social media, there is a standard that must be complied by, right? Um, One of the things that I've noticed is that when a content creator has invited uh, a guest to their panel, uh, a lot of times that guest is being disrespected by the chat members. And of course, the content creator doesn't want that to happen. And the guest definitely doesn't want to be disrespected. Uh, but I'm here to say that we should uh, keep a civil decorum in the chat, you know, having these conversations respectfully. Uh, Even if you don't agree with what someone is saying, the comments should still be respectful. Uh, One of the things that I find a lot of chat members harp over is the fact that the panel guest and the content creator is not paying much attention to what they're putting in the chat. So, because I've considered that, when I get up on the panel, I've learned to engage with the chat members respectfully and civilly. Um, that courtesy should be received by any panel guest. Of course, every content creator sets the rules for their chat. Now, I know content creators do not want, the chat members disrespecting the panel guests. It doesn't work well. It puts a damper on their presentation when they have to get on the chat members for doing things like that. Like I said, we're in the month of December. A lot of people are depressed. Social media is an outlet for millions of people. They come to social media to uh, have some sort of release. They find solace in it, but they have to keep in mind that when they're on or when they're participating in someone else's chat room, that they should follow the rules. Disrespecting panel guests is a no-no, and I say that not only for hi Cold Pepsi, how you doing today? I'm in here. I'm just talking about content creator, panel guests, and what the chat decorum should be. Most content creators have moderators that oversee the chat. A lot of times the moderators will, they let people speak freely, and they are there to moderate what is happening in the chat room so that it doesn't get out of hand. Um, Again, we're all adults. Everybody should know how to behave. Uh, Oftentimes, when that happens, it makes the content creator wants to shut off the live. Hi, Tawanda. How you doing today? Like I just said, I'm just talking about um, content creators inviting panel guests and their guests being disrespected by chat members. Um, I think it's a good idea for the content creators to, if they have moderators, for them to kind of like hold meetings with their moderators to let them know what the position is that they hold and to hold them to account for it, because it's not a good experience when a panel guest gets up there and then when that panel guest begins to engage in the chat and see all of the negative commentary that is coming towards them. And the reason why I speak on that is because I experienced that on last night. Now, the first another thing I want to say is that when somebody invites you, when a content creator invites someone to their panel, for me, it tells me that that person respects your opinion enough to allow you to get up on their panel for you to share what you're thinking about any particular subject. So I hold that in high regard. And uh, if someone asks me, because I see it that way, no matter who the person is, if I can accommodate them and go on their panel, I'll do that, because some content creators don't do it. So when somebody respects you enough to ask you to grace their panel, yeah, that's a big deal for me. Um, like I said, I know that we're in the month of December, and there's a lot of anxiety, stress, and depression going on with people out there. And social media is an outlet for a lot of people. But again, I say, when we enter into someone's chat room, we have to be respectful of everybody that's in the chat. We also have to be respectful of the content creator and the panel guests. That way, the show is going to move along smoothly. Uh, Having a good conversation amongst the chat members is great. Like I said, once before, I was the type that never engaged in the chat while being a guest, on someone else's show. But because it was called to my attention that I was overlooking people when they had questions for me, that caused me to, start engaging in the chat more while being a guest on someone's channel, so they don't feel like they're being overlooked. But at the same time, the guest doesn't want to be disrespected. Now, I said last night that, as you can see, the title of this live is called F Around and Find Out. Okay? It's the F Around and Find Out message. And for me, I am a very respectful person. I'm a very humble person. Uh, I'm a very passive person. And because I am that way, I've learned that people think that they can come at me however they choose to do so. The disrespect sometimes is through the roof. And normally, I will I would take those things. But at this particular time, I'm not willing to take those things from anybody because I feel like if you can dish it out, you can also take it. And so that's why this particular live is called F Around and Find Out. Because if you F around and find out, if you F around, excuse me, you're going to find out because I'm not going to allow or tolerate any disrespect because I'm not a disrespectful person. Exactly. And that's exactly what I'm saying because when you're a guest on someone's panel, Cole Pepsi says at some time, and sometimes it's not like you're ignoring the people in the chat. It could be that it's just so many questions you just don't see them at all. And that's exactly my point because the guest is there to support the content creator who is presenting their information. So basically, it's a conversation amongst these two people or three, however many people is up on the panel, but they're engaging in this conversation, right? So it seems like they're ignoring the chat members, but in reality, they're just trying to get this information out to the people, to the chat, and whoever else is watching. So, but because somebody called that to my attention, I said, okay, well, I'm going to multitask as much as I can. I'm going to engage with the content creator and I'm still going to try to pay attention to the chat as much as I possibly can. But when you're paying attention to the chat and then you see the chat is giving you all this negative feedback, it does not feel good because you're not we're all adults. It should be a civil conversation going on. It shouldn't be people, calling people crazy or telling the the uh the content creator to get this lady and I'm saying this because this happened to me last night, right? So I was on this panel and we're engaging and we're trying to present the information and somebody's in the chat saying this lady is crazy, get her off your panel. And when I went over the chat because I didn't want to leave them out, so now I'm reading the comments. The panel, the content creator had said something that let me know that they were speaking that way towards me. So that's why I went in the chat to check the messages. And yeah, they were saying things like that. And like I told them last night, I am here to support the content creator. You know, not necessarily that I believe uh, what he's saying, is just that he thought enough of me to ask me to grace his panel. So I obliged him and I was there for the to support that. Because Cold Pepsi, you guys know, my people who come in know that you guys basically know how I feel about the Kanika Jenkins case. You know, so it's not that I believe everything that he's saying. Is just that I feel like he takes my opinion into account because why else would he ask me to be on his panel if he didn't respect some of the things that I'm saying? And that's part of the reason why I went, because again, a lot of content creators just present their information. They won't ask guests to get up on their panel, right? Especially in the Kanika Jenkins community. So when you see somebody that has that level of respect for you, then yeah, you want to try to be supportive of them, but you don't want their panel, their chat members to attack you. You know, we're all adults. It should be civil conversations in the chat amongst the chat members. Uh, and also, if the chat members have anything to say to a panel guest or the content creator, let it be respectful. Don't disrespect others in that manner. Because, like I said, this is the season of F around. And if you F around with me, you're going to find out. Because everybody don't wake up on the same side of the bed every morning, right? So, in last night, I wasn't having it. And it redirected everything that I was thinking. It took my thoughts off of the presentation, and I was solely focused on what these people had said about me. Now, I know I'm not crazy, you know, and I know what I feel about this case. But like I said, I was there to support that content creator. And I thought he would pop up on here, but he didn't. And again, I'm grateful and I'm glad that he chastised the people that were doing that in his chat. That's one thing I can say. When he realized this was happening, he did say something about it, and I appreciate that. But everybody know me. I'm not crazy. I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. I'm very intelligent. If I present information, it's going to be the truth. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't buy into all of that. But again, I'm there to support the content creator. So it really doesn't matter what I think. I'm just there to support him. So if he's presenting his information based off of what he deems to be factual, I can speak to that. Or I can't. I don't have to. We can have a conversation and agree to disagree. And that's one of the things I think they don't understand when when there is a point of contention with the content creator or and the panel guests. They feel it's an argument or a big fight, and because they are there to support the content creator, they then attack the panel guest. But they don't know that the panel guest and the content creator have that type of relationship, you know, because what they're seeing is they're seeing this all play out just on YouTube. They don't understand that most times there's discussions going on behind the scenes even before someone goes live with a guest on their panel, right? So they think that we're fighting, but we're not fighting. It's just the point of contention. It's just I don't agree. I don't see things like you see things, and then the conversation will get heated, and they uh, um, perceive it to be a fight, but it's not. It's not a fight. So I wanted to address that because that really made me feel some type of way. Um, it made me feel some type of way because and I wish that person who put that on the panel would go back and check out my Kanika Jenkins content. Then they would understand my frame of thought, the way I think, you know, and how I approached my decision to formulate the opinion that I have about what happened to her. Like I said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not one who sees the ghosts and the goblins and the bloody photographs and all of that. And, you know, believing that this whole entire thing was a big production that Rosemont, the hotel, put on with this um, with this young lady. I don't see, I don't believe that there was a reenactment of any sort. I don't believe that there was more than one Kanika. I don't believe people played her. That, you see, that's for me, that's stepping out of reality. That's overthinking. That's reaching. You know, when you think about what happened to her, of course, there were a lot of things that caused us to say about what happened to her. When we read the case files and we find the inconsistencies and discrepancies, some of the phone calls, the logs, uh, the things the children said, yeah. But for the most part, I don't believe there was such this big thing that was created with this young African American girl from the west side of Chicago who had no money, um, you know, and somehow was involved with the Crown Plaza Hotel enough for them to create this big production as it related to her death. I don't see that. My mind won't let me go there. Because again, for me, that would be stepping out of reality. And again, everybody have their own opinions, but that's not my opinion. And I can speak to somebody. I'm civil enough to speak somebody who doesn't feel like I feel, and allow them to get their thoughts out. Again, I can challenge them and they can challenge me about why I feel the way I feel. But it doesn't mean that we're fighting. And that's the big thing there. That's what the chat members are thinking. They're thinking that the content creator and that guest on the panel are having this big fight when they're debating, when it's just a debate. And most of the times for me, because I don't like to debate people, it's just a heated conversation. That's how I'd like to uh, uh, say it. It's a back and forth. You believe this, I believe this. Okay, now let me know why you believe this, and I'll tell you why I believe this. And then there's going to be some friction in the middle, of course, because we don't see things the same way. You're right. If people would have put their pieces together, it would have turned out differently. You're absolutely right. But again, Cold Pepsi, you've been here all along, so you know how it is in this community. We're never going to see eye to eye, but that does not mean that we have to hate one another. And that's one of the biggest things. Well, I always knew it. It's just that I hadn't come to the point to where, because of course, a lot of the things that happened with me in the beginning, right? So it took me some time to get from even being a Christian, I'm going to be honest. It took me some time to get to the place to where I could say, okay, you, if I continue to live in this unforgiveness, then that's not good for me. So, yeah, for me too, I had to allow God to do some work in me. And so now I've come to the place to where, okay, it is what it is. The story about Kanika's death, it is what it is. You know, her mom got money. We know she died, right? So, are you going to hold whatever this person did to you against them for the rest of your life? Or are you, because if you do that, you in violation of God's law, right? And I know that. So, but even being a Christian, we struggle with forgiveness. But I'm glad. that I was able to get to that place. Some people may never get to that place, but I can't worry about other people. I have to work out my own salvation. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I choose to operate differently. And again, I can say when somebody holds you in such high regard, when they're asking you to be a guest on their panel, you should take that into consideration because most content creators will not do it. They will not do it, you know. So that's a big thing for me because for me it's like, okay, you can be a supporter. Some content creators subconsciously think this way. They want people to support them, but they're not supporting in the same way that they want support, right? Oh yeah, I'm telling you, I struggled with it, but God, if you know the word, then He ain't gonna He's not gonna leave you alone because you know your spirit is convicted because you shouldn't be holding that hardness in your heart, against people. That's not for you. That's for Him. That's for Him to deal with. But of course, we're humans, so we deal with human emotions. And I was like, and again, I was in a human emotion last night because I responded to who that person who was writing in the chat, and I'm saying this right now, the F around and find out message, um, because I really feel like this, like I'm not gonna let people continue to uh, abuse my feelings anymore on social media. That's enough of that. That's not to say that I don't forgive what they do. It's just to say that I'm gonna nip it in the bud when I see it happening. To let these people know, no, you can't cross this line with me anymore. I'm not having it. So that's what that F around and find out message means for me. But just because I called you out on your ignorance, it doesn't mean that I hate you. Get it? Because at some point in time, you have to stop people. You cannot let them think that they can continue to abuse you just because they feel like, oh, she's a soft, she won't say this or she won't say that. But everybody is capable of doing those things, you know. Right, exactly. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. That's a word right there. And they do that to me all the time. You know, and I've gotten to the point, Cold Pepsi, to be honest with you, it's like because I don't be on social media often. I even changed my platform to a cooking channel because I didn't want to engage like that in the Kanika Jenkins community. But even with me not coming on here much, when I do pop up, I have the same result. Somebody will always attack me. And that's why I've come to this point here. So again, leaving out the room, this message was about, you know, content creators having guests on their panel and their chat members disrespecting the guest on the panel. There should be a decorum in the chat towards the panel guest that is civil because we're all adults and we can engage in a civil conversation with each other, even though we don't see eye to eye. You can call it a debate, you can call it an argument, whatever, a point of contention, however you want to phrase it. But it doesn't mean that we're fighting. It just means that we agree to disagree. And so, my point here is, if you don't disrespect me, I won't disrespect you. But if you disrespect me in this season, and I can be a guest on anybody's panel, you can rest assured that I'm coming for you. Because, first of all, you're not even a part of the conversation that I'm having with the content creator. So, how dare you come for me in that way? If you need to ask a question, do that civilly and respectfully, and I'll answer your questions for you. But don't attack. Because, sometimes the pit bull can be hurt by the chihuahua. The pit bull, the chihuahua is going to disable the pit bull. So be respectful when you're in other people's houses, when you're in their chat rooms, when you're in on their panel. And that goes for the guest as well. It's vice versa. The guest should not be coming for chat members. That's a big no-no. Not disrespectfully. If a guest sees something going on in the chat, if that room has moderators, then go in the private chat and put up a message asking the moderators to handle it. Don't engage in the back and forth. But if it's missed going forward, whoever comes for me, I'm coming right back for you. So thank you, Cold Pepsi, for dropping by and spending some time in this room today. Thank you for your comments, your thoughts, and your views. I appreciate that company. And I'll see you guys on the next live. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.